Hare Krishna. मम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. Hare Krishna. We'll continue. We have two more chapters to complete at Canto Prabhupada's purport. But very nice points Prabhupada is trying to share, so I don't want to rush. We'll do it slowly. We will not be able to, because Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's commentaries, they are small. Prabhupada has big comments. He want to give some very practical things also. So here we have seen the important lesson from the previous thing is how the attachment, that is the cause of bondage, and especially the attachment between male and female. So that was the important lesson. In this way, the living entity gets a subtle body with the material mind and senses according to spiritual activities. When the reactions of his particular activities come to an end, the end is called death, and when the particular type of reaction begins, that beginning is the called birth. So this is what I have. Body is called my prarabdha. So when the prarabdha ends, the body ends. That's all. Nobody can stop. Everybody is having limited prarabdha. It's not unlimited prarabdha. That's why our bodies are limited. It goes away. And prarabdha is unlimited. But thing is that the some part only can be realized in this body. That's why we need to take another body. Because all types of desire cannot be fulfilled in this body. Whatever limited, because body has its limitation, we fulfill in this body and then we go. And then another important is we discussed how the the attachment between man and woman, when the weakness, when the men are warned about close association with women, it means it is the weakness of man. Like one time, Brahma was giving a class, and Narad Muni and great sages were attending, and Durasmani comes there with a huge bag of books. And then Brahma asks, so who is a devotee? And Durasmani says, I am the greatest devotee. See, I have all these books with me. I read all of them. And Narada says, you are like a donkey carrying all these books. Narada was so blunt. He told you are like a donkey. And then Durasmani becomes very upset. He was and he was about to curse or something. And then Narad Muni says, see, this is the behavior. That proves that you are a donkey because you are getting affected by it. If you are not affected, you are a devotee. You are getting affected, that means you are a donkey. Then immediately Durasmani takes all the books, throws in the river, and goes away. He understood that it is not how much I carry, how much there should be control of mind, senses, and internal change. Now, the point here is if a man is getting attracted, it is his weakness. It is his weakness of mind and senses. You cannot blame other person. Like Durasmani cannot blame that Nardamuni abused me. Now Durasmani took responsibility. I got affected by the words Nardamuni spoke. It proves that I am weak. So if I am getting affected by some person, it proves that I am weak. So what should be done? I cannot blame that person. Why did you do like this? I should work on changing myself. So here when it is told about man's weakness, that means man should improve. Right? We cannot blame women for it. And then this is another theme that is discussed here. द्रव्योपलब्धिस्थानस्य द्रव्येक्षायोग यथा यथा तत्पञ्चत्वम् अहं मानात् उपत्तिर्द्रव्यदर्शनम् यथा कृष्णो द्रव्यवयवा दर्शनायोग यथा यथा तदैव चक्षुषो दृष्टात्रायोग्यतान्ययो. When the eyes lose their power to see color or form due to morbid affliction of optic nerve, the sense of sight becomes deadened. The living entity who is the seer of both the eyes and the sight, loses his power of vision. In the same way, when the physical body, the place where the perception of body occurs, is rendered incapable of perceiving, that is known as death. When one begins to view the physical body as one's very self, that is called birth. Very, very technical, definition of birth and death. We will read it again. If you want to very scientifically explain, and Bhagavatam is also is a science. It is very scientifically explaining if you want to define birth and death. So this is the definition. When the eyes lose their power to see color or form due to morbid affliction of of the optic nerve, the sense of sight becomes deadened. The living entity who is the seer of both the eyes and the sight loses its power of vision. In the same way, when the physical body, the place where perception of object occurs, is rendered incapable of perceiving, that is known as death. When one begins to view the physical body as one's very self, this is called birth. Oh, Prabhupada is explaining. When one says, I see, this means that he sees with his eyes or with his spectacles. Like if I remove my spectacles, I'll not be able to see very far clearly. He sees with the instrument of sight. So my spectacles are like instrument. Similarly, my eyes are like instrument where the soul is able to see. Spectacles are instrument. Spectacles don't see. Similarly, eyes are instrument like that. If the instrument of sight is broken or becomes diseased or incapable of acting, then he, as the seer, also ceases to act. Similarly, in the material world, at the present moment, the living soul is acting, and when the material body, due to its incapability of function, ceases, he also ceases to perform his reactionary activities. When one's instrument of action is broken, cannot function, this is called death. So, like when the spectacles don't work, then I will not be able to see. When the eyes don't work, I will not be able to see. That means eyes got damaged. So now I don't have the ability to see. Now the body gets damaged. That is called death. We will not be able to do anything with this body now because it is dysfunctional. That's what it is telling. The material body at the present moment, the living soul is acting when the material body, due to its incapability of functions. So the diseases cease to, he also cease to perform his reactionary activities. The instrument will get damaged because of some part is damaged. Sometimes kidneys are damaged, livers are damaged. So it is getting damaged. You may replace them. Sometimes there is no replacement. Then the person have to leave this machine. If car is not working, it is completely damaged. Engine is damaged, and the axle is damaged, or the gearbox is damaged, or some are very serious damages. If a tire is damaged, you can replace it. You can replace batteries, but some things now it is almost useless. Better to take new one. That's how we do. When the body is incapable, we just give it up, go for the next body. When one's instrument of action is broken and cannot function, this is called death. Again, when one gets a new instrument for action, that is called birth. This process of birth and death is going on at every moment by constant bodily change. The final change is called death, and acceptance of new body is called birth. That is the solution to the question of birth and death. Actually, the living entity has neither birth nor death, but is eternal. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, na hanyate hanyamane sharire. When the car is damaged, we have to purchase a new car. You may repair it for 5, 6, 7 times, and after that, so much money is put in the car. Better is to, instead of putting so much into the car, if the engine is damaged, they'll say, "Sir, better purchase new one." Throw it away in the garbage, junk. That is how we have to do with our body. After some time, we all have to do, no exception. Everybody. all our bodies are eventually going to be dumped, either buried or burnt or thrown to some vultures to eat, because that is at least food for some other living entities. We have to take up a new body for the continuation of fulfilling our desires. तस्मान्न कार्य संत्रासो न कार्पण्यं न संभ्रमः बुद्ध्वा जीवगतिं धारो बुद्ध्वा जीवगतिं धीरो मुक्तसङ्गश्चेदिह. Therefore, one should not view death with horror, nor have recourse to defining the body as soul, nor give way to exaggeration in enjoying the bodily necessities of life. Realizing the true nature of living entity, one should move about in the world free from attachment and steady fast in purpose. A sane person who has understood the philosophy of life and death is very upset upon hearing the horrible hellish condition of life in the womb of mother or outside of the mother. But one has to make a solution to the problems of life. A sane man should understand the miserable condition of this metal body without being unnecessarily upset. He should try to find out if there is a remedy. The remedial measure can be understood when one associates with persons who are liberated. It must be, that means when we see a person who is free, then we develop a desire to become free ourselves. When we see how this person is really very happy, and this is the remedial measures can be understood when one associates with person who are liberated. We discussed also, this is actually internal freedom. That is what should come when one practices spirituality. He experiences this, and the that is our real wealth. It must be understood who is actually liberated. The liberated person is described in Bhagavad Gita. So, Sthita Prajna. The Supreme Personality of God, it is beyond the material creation. It is admitted even by impersonalists like Shankaracharya, Narayana Paro Vyaktats. So, what is liberation for us? Muktir hitva anyata rupam surupena vyavasthiti. That is actually what is liberation. While discharging devotional service in full Krishna consciousness, one should not be miserly. He should not unnecessarily show that he has renounced this. Actually, renunciation is not possible. Actual renunciation is not possible. Prabhupada's statements. If one renounces his palatial building and goes to the forest, there is actually no renunciation. Why? For the palatial building is the property of the Supreme Personality of God, and forest is also property of Supreme Lord. So this is Prabhupada's logic. He said, Array, what you are renouncing? Both of them are not yours only. If I go to the road and no, I see a big showroom, I say I'll renounce this showroom. People will say this was never yours. How can you renounce this showroom? Similarly, even the house which I am staying, I registered on my name. All the ingredients of this house are not actually my ingredients. They are taken from the Lord. Land is taken from the Lord. All the ingredients, Panchamahabhutas, from the Lord. So what is mine there to renounce? We are just have to renounce our false ego that I foolishly identify with it. That's right. If he changes from one property to another, that does not mean that he renounces. He was never the proprietor of either the palace or the forest. Renunciation necessitates renouncing the false understanding that one can lord it over the material nature. So this is the, we have to give up the renunciation. So this is the real renunciation. Even, and we get very hurt if somebody does something to our property Even if they ask donation, also people are very hurt. How can you ask me donation? It is arre, for Krishna service. No, no, no. For Krishna service also I will not give because it is mine. No, it is Krishna's. He gave. He gave so that we can engage in his service. And people say, I will do my own way. I will do my own sense of gratification. More we give, safe so that internally we are free. By giving external donation, we are getting internal freedom also. That is more important than just external freedom. When one renounces his false attitude and renounces the puffed up position that he is also God, that is real renunciation. See? Otherwise, there is no meaning in renunciation. Rupa Goswami advised that if one renounces anything which could be applied in the service of Lord and does not use it in that purpose, that is called Falgu Vairagya, insufficiency or false renunciation. Everything belongs to Supreme Lord. Therefore, everything can be engaged in the service of Lord. Nothing should be used for one's sense gratification. That is real renunciation. Nor should one unnecessarily increase the necessities of life, of body. We should be satisfied with whatever is offered and supplied by Krishna without much personal endeavor. This is also very, very important point. We only create our necessities and start working to fulfill them. Like now, if a person has some capacity, and what he will do, he will purchase a house which he is not capable of paying for it. And he takes a loan for 20 years. And for next 20 years, he wastes his life in paying off that loan. And he could have taken some simple house and stayed. But he will put a target more than he can afford, and he's spending his time, valuable time, instead of Krishna consciousness. He says, Proji, no, come for class, chant more rounds, do some service. Proji, no time. I have so many loans, I have to clear them. But why did you take the loan? Why did you create? You should have gone for something simple. But people don't do that. In that way, they spend 20, 25 years serving a master who is ungrateful master. The company which we are working or a firm or anything, ungrateful masters we work for them. Even if they are grateful also, that is not any use. It's useless. And then for the family who are anyway going to be ungrateful, that is according to Sukadeva Goswami, 5th canto. And then the senses whom we served, they're ungrateful. So all the three masters, the master in the office, the masters in the house, the master with our body, all are ungrateful. But one master, if you serve, the spiritual master and Krishna, who are really important for us to serve, to get out of this material world, we don't have time for them. Why? Because we are not satisfied with whatever is offered. See, this is very important. We should be satisfied with whatever is offered and supplied by Krishna without much personal endeavor. We should spend our time uh, executing devotional service in Krishna consciousness. That is the solution to problems of life and death. They don't do it. They don't have time for all these things because they are so busy in clearing the loans and serving the false masters uh, without any gain in return. Unfortunately, it looks temporary gains, and that is also false gains. And it looks like some, oh, I got my appraisal, I got my promotion, I got my increment. This is all false. What you will do? You'll make one more house with one more loan to clear. You already have a house. They take one more house and again take loan and they want to clear that. And then they have a car. They want a bigger car, take another loan. And then their children can study in some college. No, they will make them study in a bigger college so that they can have more loan to clear that loan. And then it goes on. And the whole life goes on in clearing the loans. So he's serving his family by giving house. He's serving the boss because he has to pay the loans. And then the senses are anyway there who are going to trouble. So where is the time for self-realization? What they do in the name of, they just can do only some ritualistic practice. They cannot really wholeheartedly do it because wholeheartedly they have something else to do. There is no time for wholeheartedly doing Krishna conscious. Wholeheartedly you have to work in the office, wholeheartedly you have to serve these false masters. Where is the wholehearted service to Krishna and Guru? No time only. They can give some donations for Janmashtami and Rath Yatra. They can come weekly once to temple for a few hours to attend a class. And that itself is a big achievement. Where is the solution that problem? So we should spend our time executing devotional service in Krishna consciousness when it is done. That does not happen only. सम्यक् दर्शनया बुद्ध्या योगवैराग्ययुक्तया मायया विरचिते लोके श्रेणेऽन्यस्य कलेवरम्. Endowed with right vision and strengthened by devotional service and a pessimistic attitude towards material identity, one should relegate his body to this illusory world through his reason. Thus, one can be unconcerned with this material world. So, this is the nice solution. If you, this is like very, very uh, depressing or very discouraging for a materialistic person because what Bhagavatam says is endowed with right vision and strengthened by devotion. Pessimistic attitudes towards material identity. They say don't identify, but outside this is what is told. Oh, you should have your own self identity, and so many such terms they use. You should be proud of yourself. That is the most stupid statement. People say be proud of yourself. No, you should be all these things are, one should relegate his body to this illusory world through his reason. It is sometimes misunderstood that if one has to associate with persons engaged in devotional service, he will not be able to solve the economic problems. So, to answer this argument, it is described here that one has to associate with liberated persons not directly physically, but by understanding through philosophy and logic the problems of life. So, this is what is, if one associates, so the argument is if one associates with a person engaged in devotional service, he will not be able to solve economic problems. Yes, he will give a pessimistic attitude toward material identity. To answer this argument, see, it is described here that one has to associate with a liberated person not directly physically, but by understanding through philosophy and logic the problems of life. It is stated here, Samyak Darshanaya Buddhya. One has to see perfectly, and by intelligence and yogic practice, one has to renounce this world. That renunciation can be achieved by the process recommended in the second chapter of first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, Savai Pumsam Puro Dharmo Yato Bhaktiradoksha, and all the slokas continuation. The devotee's intelligence is always in touch with the Supreme Personality of God. Its attitude towards the material existence is one of detachment, for he knows perfectly well that this material world is a creation of illusory energy. Realizing himself to be part and parcel of Supreme Soul, the devotee discharges his devotional service and is completely aloof from material actions and reactions. Thus, at the end, he gives up his material body or the material energy, and as a pure soul, he enters the kingdom of God. So, this is a very important thing. The purpose is very clear. No need to make any economic development. It does not anyway make any difference in life. One fine day, we have to leave everything and go. So what is the point? That's a simple living. If we have a simple living, then we are not bothered. What happens? Why people want to earn more and more? Because they are very insecure. They are taking shelter of money, not Krishna. That's why they have to earn more. If we take shelter of Krishna, we'll do sadhana more, not earning more. We have insecurity, but insecurity either we can take shelter of Krishna or shelter of our property, money, and all. If we are taking shelter of money, property, we spend more time for money, property, job, and all. If we take shelter of Krishna, we spend more time for Krishna. People may feel it is not very practical. That's why this question comes from us. If one associates with person engaged in devotional service, is not be able to solve economic problems because it don't look very practical taking shelter of Krishna compared to taking shelter of job and other things. It look more practical. I can at least clear my loan. I will have a house. I will have some nice property. But if I take shelter of Krishna, what will happen to me? Yeah, only person who is simple, who has a simple living, he can take shelter of Krishna because he don't have much economic problems. Simple living, high thinking. But if he does not have high thinking, then he will definitely need to go with this shelter. Okay. Thank you all very much. We'll continue tomorrow. Hope I didn't offend anyone. Any questions, comments before we end? Okay. Hare Krishna. Gandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada.